alchemists, using advanced techniques that defied their era's technology, had attempted to recreate the miraculous imprint of the shroud. The documents revealed a shocking twist. These alchemists had succeeded beyond their wildest dreams. They had developed a method to replicate the image with astonishing accuracy, using a process that involved an intricate blend of rare minerals, dyes, and unknown energies. This new evidence suggested that the original shroud might have been an authentic relic, but the copy had been deliberately mixed in to confuse and obscure its true origins. As news of the discovery spread, believers and unbelievers alike were left grappling with the implications. Could this new evidence validate the shroud's authenticity, or were there deeper secrets hidden within the medieval alchemists' experiments? Let us have your opinions in the comment below. The divine mystery of Jesus' resurrection. The resurrection of Jesus was not merely a revival of a lifeless body, but an extraordinary transformation into what St. Paul referred to as a spiritual body, a form imbued with divine glory, spirit, and power. This metamorphosis from a physical to a radiant spiritual state might signify the commencement of Jesus' transition from a mortal body to a glorified, celestial existence. While no scientific evidence can conclusively prove this, the intriguing similarities between the mysterious image on the Shroud of Turin and the descriptions in the New Testament offer compelling insights. For instance, the Shroud of Turin, which many believe to be the burial cloth of Jesus, presents fascinating details that support this idea. One striking feature of the shroud is that it contains no traces of paint, dyes, or pigments. This is particularly significant because the image appears to have been created without traditional artistic techniques, hinting at a different origin for the image. The blood stains on the shroud are another remarkable aspect. They are real human blood that is congealed on the cloth, and they align with the anatomical details of the image, including the wounds and the flow of the blood. This anatomical accuracy suggests that the image and the bloodstains were formed in a way that would have been beyond the capabilities of medieval forgers. Moreover, the shroud is covered with pollen grains native to Palestine, such as those from plants like Gundelia tournefortii and others specific to the region. These pollen grains provide evidence that the shroud could have been in Palestine during the time of Jesus. Additionally, small coins minted around AD 29, bearing images of Jewish high priests, were found near the eyes of the figure on the shroud. This detail further supports the idea that the shroud originates from the 1st century in Palestine, not medieval Europe. The shroud also poses several significant mysteries that challenge the notion of forgery. For example, the image on the shroud has properties similar to a photographic negative, despite predating photography by over a millennium. The image is three-dimensional, showing depth and detail that modern imaging techniques have only recently discovered. Furthermore, the shroud exhibits a double image phenomenon, where the front and back images align perfectly when viewed in 3 dimensions, which is difficult to explain with medieval technology. It seems improbable and imprudent to dismiss the Shroud of Turin as a medieval forgery. Several compelling pieces of evidence strongly suggest that the shroud is directly connected to the time and place of Jesus' life, as well as to his remarkable crucifixion and resurrection. Firstly, the shroud contains traces of materials that date back to 1st century Palestine. This includes specific pollen grains and ancient coins found on the eyes of the figure depicted on the shroud. These elements are consistent with the region where Jesus is believed to have lived and died. Additionally, the bloodstains on the shroud match the descriptions of crucifixion as detailed in the Gospels, including unique features such as the crown of thorns, the flogging, and the piercing by a Roman spear. These details align closely with the brutal methods of execution described in historical accounts. Furthermore, scientific analysis of the shroud reveals 5 perplexing characteristics in its image. Studies suggest that the image was formed by a burst of vacuum ultraviolet radiation, which could have come from a body that was momentarily transparent. This phenomenon suggests a miraculous transformation from a physical to a spiritual, glorified state, a concept described by St. Paul and found in Christian doctrine about the resurrection. This type of transformation was unique to early Christian beliefs and differs significantly from other views of the afterlife. For instance, Jewish beliefs focused on the resuscitation of the body, while pagan religions often envisioned immortality in terms of ghostly or ethereal forms. The shroud's image aligns with the distinctive Christian understanding of the resurrection, highlighting an appearance that diverges from both Jewish and pagan perspectives. The intricate details on the shroud offer a fascinating glimpse into a miraculous event, reinforcing the belief in Jesus' unique resurrection. The chance of this first-century Palestinian burial shroud belonging to anyone other than Jesus is incredibly slim. This is because the shroud has unique features related to Jesus' crucifixion and resurrection that are not found in any other context. The image on the shroud is not fake. It comes from a real person who lived at the time of Jesus and experienced crucifixion in the same manner as Jesus. The shroud even shows signs of intense ultraviolet radiation from the decaying body, something that adds to its authenticity. Given all this evidence, it's reasonable to believe that the shroud is indeed Jesus' burial cloth. It not only reflects his crucifixion, but also his resurrection in glory. If this is true, the shroud supports the significance of the most important event in human history and aligns with the gospel accounts of it. The truth behind the world's most controversial artifact, the Holy Shroud of Turin, is a revered relic housed in Turin, Italy. It is believed to be the actual linen cloth in which Joseph of Arimathea wrapped the body of Jesus Christ. This ancient artifact, darkened by time, bears a faint yet clear impression of a human form on both its front and back. If these marks were indeed made by a human body, it suggests that the body was laid lengthwise on one half of the shroud, while the other half was folded back over the head, covering the entire front from face to feet. The shroud was brought to Turin in 1578 and has been kept in the Cathedral of St. John the Baptist since 1694. It is displayed to the public only a few times each century, drawing millions of visitors who slowly pass by to view the images of the crucified man. The shroud is woven from linen thread, which is made from the stems of the flax plant. To create the thread, flax fibers are separated from the stem by letting the stems rot in water, making it easier to extract the fibers. The diameter of these fibers is about 15 to 20 micrometers, which is roughly 1/5 the diameter of a human hair. A typical linen thread is composed of around 100 of these tiny fibers. The Gospel of Luke, along with the other three Gospels, recounts the story of Jesus' burial following his crucifixion. On the morning of Jesus' resurrection, Luke notes that Peter found the strips of linen lying by themselves. In contrast, the Gospel of John mentions that Peter saw not only the linen strips, but also the cloth that had been wrapped around Jesus' head. This headcloth was still in its place, separate from the linen. This separate cloth has sparked intense interest today because many believe it might be the Shroud of Turin, thought to be Jesus' burial cloth. If proven to be true, the shroud would offer powerful evidence supporting the truth of Christianity. However, is it Jesus' burial cloth? The answer to this question hinges on historical, scientific, and biblical data, as well as insights from various other fields. Often, the actual data and popular beliefs don't align well, making it challenging to grasp the complex issues surrounding the shroud. It seems undeniable that the Shroud of Turin belonged to someone crucified. The image and stains on the shroud align closely with the Bible's description of crucifixion. Moreover, there are compelling reasons to question the carbon-14 dating that suggests the shroud is from between 1200 and 1400 AD. Abus specifically points out significant findings that raise the strong possibility that the shroud dates back to the time of Christ. The shroud uniquely blends science and faith, demonstrating that these two realms can coexist harmoniously. Its vivid and graphic depiction of suffering brings Christ's passion to life, making it more tangible and relatable, especially for teenagers searching for their own beliefs. For many, seeing physical evidence of Jesus' suffering and resurrection can be profoundly impactful. The authenticity of the Shroud of Turin is widely accepted in various declarations by the Holy See. Notably, Pope Julius II formally approved its veneration in the bull Romanus Pontifex on April 25, 1506, referring to the shroud as the most famous cloth in which our Savior was wrapped after his crucifixion, and which is now preserved with great reverence in a silver casket. Furthermore, the same pope mentions the writings on the precious blood of his predecessor, Pope Pius IX. In these writings, Pius IX states that in the shroud, people can see the true blood and the image of Jesus Christ himself. However, there was a challenge due to the existence of other shrouds also claiming to bear the image of Jesus. Some of these were also said to be the authentic linen provided by Joseph of Arimathea. Until the end of the 19th century, there wasn't a major dispute over the authenticity of the Turin shroud. But in 1898, when the shroud was publicly displayed, permission was granted to photograph it. This caused a sensation as the photographs revealed that the image on the linen appeared to be a photographic negative. In other words, the negative produced a clearer and more recognizable image of a human face than the cloth itself or any positive prints made from it. The play of light and shadow on the shroud was so natural that it seemed to defy explanation. Years later, a scientist presented an intriguing paper to the Academy of Sciences. He argued that the image on the shroud was created by a process he called vapography. According to him, this process involved ammonia vapors that came from Christ's body after his intense death. He claimed that these vapors could leave a deep reddish-brown stain on an oily cloth, depending on how far away they were. The shroud's image was essentially a natural negative, making it completely beyond the ability of any medieval forger to replicate. The scientific explanation adds a layer of awe to the shroud's profound historical and spiritual significance. What are your thoughts about this new evidence about the Shroud of Turin that has everyone talking? Share your thoughts with us in the comments section below.